Hey, I'm Grace, and I've been doing Nuzlocke for a few years now. But I wanted to up the stakes as I decided to animate my next Nuzlocke journey. So I called in a close friend of mine, as we decided to do a 2-player Cagematch Nuzlocke. Now what is that, you ask? Well, we both have 2 randomized ROMs of Fire Red, where we catch the first Pokemon of each route and nickname them, and if a Pokemon faints, it dies. But after every gym badge, we have a 1v1 match between each other, where the winner gets to teach their Pokemon a TM or give it a revive for the Nuzlocke, while the loser's Mon dies. At the very end after the league, we have a 6v6 match where the final champion of the Indigo League is decided. With that out of the way, let us begin the most painful Nuzlocke experience in my life. Me and my neighbor Aoi wake up to meet Professor Oak, who gives us our starters for the journey. He offers us a Squirtle, a Lotad, and a Pidgey. Aoi took the Squirtle named Raguraj, while my Pidgey was named Vistara. We both ran to Route 1, where our first encounters were a Kingler and a Sneasel. Right before entering Viridian Forest, I got a Jolteon, and Aoi gets a Dunsparce. While inside Viridian Forest, I get a Dunsparce myself, while Aoi gets a Don Blissey? For those of you who don't know, Blissey has the highest HP base stat in all of Pokemon. It's equal to that of Eternamax Eternatus itself. So Blissey isn't just a great tank for early game Nuzlockes, but Blissey has a very good TM learn set. So if he gets a Cagematch win on a Blissey and can get to teach it TMs, that would be an unstoppable force. We started making our way through the forest, where we met our first Pokemon trainer, Bugcatcher Doug. He sends out a Weedle and a Fortress. And yes, all trainer battles are double battles. I could sense the Fortress just stare into my eyes, as it immediately used self-destruct.
Oh my, no! Self-destruct, I can't do anything to self, both die, right?
The first trainer battle itself and the entire battlefield was charred. After the smoke settled, all we found were a dead Fortress, a Weedle, poor Dionysus, and Ashoka, barely standing on its feet by the power of friendship. Thankfully, this was the only explosion we would have to deal with in this entire journey. We both make our way to the Pewter City Gym to challenge the fighting type gym leader, Brock. Seeing we have no gym badges, Brock sends out 2 Tyrogues. Really, Brock? Your gym trainer over there used a Combuskin and a Hitmonchan, and that's what you got? Alright, I suppose. Raguraj used Water Gun, and Vistara just slaps them a bit, and we get the Boulder Badge. But now was the time for the real fight to start. Aoi and I get ready for our first cage match. Go Ashoka, let's do this, as Aoi sends his Dunsparce. With just a few bubble beams, the first cage match was ours. Even though we won, I had an uneasy feeling as we make our way to Mount Moon, outside which Aoi finds himself a Steelix. Meanwhile, I find my own Blissey that I named Casper. We also find a fisherman who sells us a Typhlosion and a Glalie for 500 bucks, so we happily take those and make our way to the dreaded Mount Moon. After meeting an eerie hooded figure as we enter, Aoi finds a bag. You ain't catching that! What? Aoi catches the Raikou with the first Pokeball. Yeah, things were looking grim. As we make it to Cerulean City, we immediately run to challenge the Dark-type gym leader, Misty. She sends out an Absol and a Houndoom. Raikou simply shocks them a bit as my Typhlosion burns them into a crisp, and we get ourselves the Masquerade Badge. Time for the second cage match. Who is it gonna be? Oh. Yeah, so our second cage match was a mirror matchup. But this wouldn't end in a stall fest like Aoi imagined. You see, back at Route 4, while Aoi was catching Juanita, the most annoying Delkitty I have ever met, I was instead training my Blissey with a karate instructor who taught me headbutt. As he could only use pound, Casper simply headbutt Balthazar off the battlefield. 2-0. We run up Nugget Bridge, where we helped a man get out of a Clefairy bodysuit. In Diglett's cave, I find myself an electrode named Neo, while Aoi finds Kurt the Mudkip. But our main next stop was SS Anne, where we were stopped by Gary Oak, who sends out a Seeking and a Swarmbird. Casper gets hit by a Supersonic, followed by a critical hit Mudshot. Don't worry, Casper, just use Soft Boil. No. This can't be happening. Casper, not you. This was the first death that really hit me hard. After proving to be the better Blissey, Casper had left us. With vengeance in mind, we made our way to the grass-type gym leader, Lieutenant Surge. Surge sends out a Ludicolo and 2 Lotads. Vistara and Raikou easily deal with them, and we get our third badge, the Hunter badge. Now I was 2-0 and went into the next cage match with confidence. My Typhlosion Heffy was carrying me, and if I got to teach it TMs, we would be unstoppable. But Aoi chooses to send his Delkitty. Delkitty? Really? Easy win. Delkitty used Attract. Attract makes your Pokemon fall in love. Because of this, there's a 50% chance that they will not hit the other Pokemon. Heffy was in love with Juanita and simply faced her thunderous double slaps. Damn, girl! 2-1. After losing Casper and Heffy, things didn't look great. But we had a few encounters ahead. I had to get myself something strong. And as I walk into Route 9, I find myself Latios. That's my legendary, let's go!
Yeah.
Oh! Yeah! No! What? No! It used Memento! It used Memento!
That won't happen again. Surely. As we get into Rock Tunnel, both our fates change. Aoi gets Bulbasaur, while I find a Spinder. But not just any Spinder. Spinder with Pure Power. Pure Power doubles the Pokemon's attack stat. What does that mean? That means this Spinder can break through anything it wants. In Celadon City, a kind man offered us 2 Eevees that turned out to be a Bagon and a Makuhita. I'm gonna call you Bacon. Next was the Celadon City's Fire-type gym leader, Erica. She sends out a Numel, a Houndoom, and a Camerupt. Wartortle used Bubble Beam, while Spinder just slowly walked up and gently flicked them off. And we got the Circumhorizontal Arc Badge. We were at our halfway point. Being the 4th cage match, I decided to send out Balor, my Hitmonchan, due to his amazing coverage. And Aoi sends out his Glalie. Unfortunately, this was too easy an outcome. 3-1. I gambled at the casino and bought myself a Rapidash. Meanwhile, Aoi found out that Team Rocket had a secret base under the casino, which we then broke into, beat up their boss, who yes had a Suicune by the way, and headed to to Lavender Town. As we went into the spooky halls of the Pokemon Tower, I found myself a Diglett that I killed. Well, Aoi finds his bloody Wheezing. Now, what is so special about Wheezing? Well, you see, we have randomized abilities. When you randomize these games, you have a checkbox. Allow Wonder God. Now, most logical people with sane minds don't tick this box. But I thought it would be funny. It was not funny. For those who don't know, in Gen 3, Pokemon introduced a very unique Pokemon called Shedinja, which had the ability Wonder God. A Pokemon with Wonder God cannot be hit by any moves that are not super effective moves. Yep, that seems broken. It is. And that is why Shedinja has a bad typing. And more importantly, only 1 HP. This was a huge Wheezing that was a poison type. That means if I don't have a psychic or a ground type move, I cannot touch this Wheezing. Aoi named his Wheezing Quaff and went on his wondrous ways. On our way to Fuchsia City, we decided to rest for a bit and just fish. And deep in the sea, Aoi fished out a Torchic he named Dick Chick. Well, I found myself a Ho-Oh. Redemption.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh god. That's just a ho. But do you have balls to catch it?
Nope. I have a Master Ball if I need it, but I don't know if I want to use it on a Ho-Oh. Now that's the second time a legendary has forced me out of a fight. In Fuchsia, we were ready to face our next gym leader, the still poison type Koga. Koga sent out a Vileplume, a Seviper, a Nidorino, and a Kakuna. Let's just say Spinda and Blaziken deal with them and we get the Disney Soul Badge. Unaware of whether he could get his Wheezing or not, I took the risk and sent my Rapidash. But there he was. Spades kept trying to use Flamethrower. But it didn't matter at all. We even tried Horn Attack, but Quaff was simply invincible. A wave of sludge from the wondrous Wheezing and we were wasted. Aoi had won, and I couldn't do anything about it. 3-2. Slowly, things were looking worse and worse for me. Aoi had a team of starters, a legendary, and his Wonder God Wheezing, while mine was just about alright. We made it to Saffron City, where we had to kick Team Rocket out of Silphco offices. And as Aoi cruised through the floors of Silphco, I met Scientist Bew of Floor 5E. Scientist Bew sent out a Regirock.
You know, card के lift के अलग है.
No!
Vistara fainted. Please.
I think both die. He double cursed explosion. My Cagematch winning Hitmonchan and my starter Pidgeot Vistara had died. Vistara had been such a friend since the start, and this was not easy to watch. My team was crumbling apart. You and I till the end, okay? Let's go, Torpin. Now, we go to face the still psychic type Sabrina in Saffron City, who sends out a Natu, a Drowsy, a Slowbro, and a Meditite. We got ourselves the Marshtail badge and get ready for Cagematch number 6. We need to do this for Vistara. Grumpig was no match for us, and Torpin sent him to his next life with a single blow. I can't lose any more of you. Keep this close to you, okay, buddy? 4-2. Before challenging Blaine at Cinnabar Island, we decided to give a visit to the Power Plant and Seafoam Islands. Here, we found our 2 legendaries each. Aoi got a Deoxys and a Jirachi, while I got myself a Mew I named GBL and a Ho-Oh. we surfed our way south of Pallet Town to reach Cinnabar Island, the place where all hell broke loose. Blaine, the gym leader of Cinnabar Island, was none other than a dragon tamer. And not just any dragon tamer. As we got ready to fight him, what does he send out but a Vibrava, a Dragonite, and 2 Rayquazas. And they danced through my entire team, one by one, except for Topin. After the brutal massacre that was the Cinnabar Gym Challenge of 22, to get the dungeon badge, only Topin and I walked out of the gym alive. While on the other hand, Aoi also loses both his Deoxys and Raikou. With grief still bubbling in our veins, we get ready for a reluctant cage match. I had to get a mon from my PC, as my team was entirely dead, and I had no hopes going in. I had caught a Nidoking sometime earlier, which I decided to send in and try my best while Aoi sent his Blaziken. Now as a type matchup, Nidoking should beat Blaziken, but the problem here was my Nidoking didn't know any ground type moves. Blaziken used Swords Dance, and it looked like it was over. All I could do was thrash and hope for the best. Fortunately, his Blaziken Swords danced again, and I had my window to finish it all. 5-2. We met Clefairy Bill again, who decided to take us to Sevi Islands. Here was where I had to rebuild my team. Along with my champion Topin the Spinda, I only had Narnia, my Nidoking, and a Shelder. Thankfully, things got a bit luckier here. On these islands, I found myself a Ghastly that later evolved into a Gengar, another Bagon that now I named Baconator, and a Metagross. We went atop Mount Ember, where we found Regirock and Registeel. Topin, kill him. Next was Viridian City with Water-type gym leader Giovanni. God, this Relicanth. Relicanth has ancient power, which has a 10% chance to raise all its stats. And he got them. Not once, not twice, but thrice. Topin put all his strength to hit the Relicanth, but it could not kill it. And before he could react, he had been knocked out cold. But this wasn't over. You are gonna pay for this. A flurry of punches, and that Relicanth finally fell. We had done it. All 8 gym badges. We lost many friends along the way, but here we were, on our way to the Kanto League. But there was one thing left. One last cage match before our final fight. Registeel used Zap Cannon to start the match. But you see, my Gengar had Volt Absorb. This was done and dusted. Karma kept shooting Shadow Balls till Reggie couldn't fight anymore. 6-2. Even though the Nuzlocke was being ruthless on me, I was able to dominate Aoi in these cage matches. But what mattered was up ahead, the league, being the true champion of the Kanto region, and that final 6v6 match to decide who is the best trainer after all. These were our final teams going into the Elite Four. Aoi had Kurt the Swampert, Fife the Jirachi, Beachy the Seed the Venusaur, Quoth the Weezing, George the Hariyama, and Nom Nom the Electabuzz. On the other hand, my final team was Topin the Spinda, Strange the Metagross, Frieza the Sneasel, Baconator the Salamence, Link the Cloyster, and Karma the Gengar. First was Lorelei, the Dark-type Elite Four. After easily dealing with both her Shiftries, she sends out her Houndoom. At first, Houndoom used Flamethrower on my full health Cloyster.
And it has a flamethrower, so be careful. This Murkrow does a lot of damage, so be careful of that as well. Oh shit, bye.
That bone is gonna kill us, isn't it? If it wasn't a bone, it wouldn't have.
1 HP, 1 HP.
No,
1
it's
HP.
dead, it's definitely dead. Okay. We can come back from this, right? Topin? Right? All hope was lost. The first Elite Four in my champion Spinder was down. Baconator and Karma managed to pull through, and now with just 4 Pokemon, we went on ahead to the next room. Our strongest two are a Ghost type and a Psychic type. Let's just hope the next room isn't a Ghost type. Bruno sends out a Dusclops and a Banette with Arena Trap. They both double team my Gengar with Shadow Balls, and we lose one more. Frieza, you can do this, okay? This is what we trained for. Bruno's Dusclops immediately uses Curse, as his Shuppet casts Mean Look at the same time. This is goodbye, my friend. By the time I beat Bruno and reached Agatha, I had only 2 Pokemon left. Baconator my Salamence, and Strange the Metagross. I've been through hell, Agatha. Show me what you got. She sends out a Charizard and a Charmeleon. Both summon a wall of flames that engulfs Strange in mere seconds. It's just us now, Baconator. Us against the world. And that was it. I lost my Nuzlocke in the Elite Four. I could only stand and watch from the stands as Zagui beat Karaoke to raise the champion trophy of the Indigo League. My rival had won, but this wasn't the end. As Aoi walks away with the champion trophy, I stop him for one final chat. Let's have that match we wanted when we left Pallet Town. Just a friendly match between champion and challenger. I've lost many friends in this journey, but I have some back with Professor Oak, who would love to get a chance to fight Kanto's champion and friend. What'd you say? After finding a team from all the other mons I had caught along the way, I made a scrappy team of 6 for the final fight. I had Kiss the Togepi, Intel the Aggron, Rajiv the Blastoise, Finn the Blaziken, Narnia the Nidoking, and GBL the Mew. I know it does look like a strong team on paper, but trust me, they had either horrible abilities or bad natures. As soon as the fight started, Aoi's Hariyama took out my Togepi. Realizing my team's weakness, Aoi sent out his ace, the Jirachi, and started spamming Cosmic Bob. But I thought I had a plan in mind. You see, I let his Jirachi set up until it hit max defense and special defense, with the final turn swapping into GBL, who used Transform to copy Jirachi and all the stat conditions.
I got you! I got you! I got you!
Though the Wondrous Weezing was a poison type and I was a psychic type Jirachi had no psychic type moves. My only Pokemon with psychic was GBL itself, so I had to waste 2 turns to swap it out and in again. By the time I did, my Blaziken died of a single sludge, and he would instantly switch out whenever I used Transform on Mew. There was no way out of this. Slowly, his Electabuzz, which was faster than my entire team, just spammed Thunder Punches and killed my Blastoise and Aggron. It was GBL versus the world. And we tried, but it just wasn't enough. The worthy champion had won. But I will be back, Aoi, and the next time I am, I will be the one with the crown. Remember me. Thank you so much for watching. Wait till the end for a surprise, but before we get to that, I'd like to just say that this is my first YouTube video, and I would love it if it gets some love and support from the community. It took me 4 months to make this animated video, all on my own, but I would love to keep doing this. Hope you would too. So please like and subscribe, leave comments on what else you would like to see from me. But anyway, you have waited enough, so let's get to what happens next in the world of Pokemon.